Hello, everybody who is joining, and welcome to another webinar about Apploye. And today we have a special guest, and this guest is Asif Rahman, and he is an advisor of Apploye, and he helps Apploye team to build amazing products and so on. And he is an investor as well with a huge experience. So, guys, thanks a lot again for joining. And who is already watching on Facebook, please, if you have any question, just feel free to ask us below in the comments, and just ask us any questions you want about the Apploye or about the productivity and how to boost it in your organization. My name is Jakub. I'm a CMO of PitchGround. I'll be hosting this webinar. And so I think now, without further ado, we can quickly jump into what brought you guys together and how did you guys meet and how are you cooperating?
Yeah, great. So thank you for the introduction. So I actually made Asif via LinkedIn cold email, cold DM. So basically I was looking for advisor, mentor or investor in our ecosystem. So
okay.
Dhaka, so there is not much people who are involved in technology ecosystem and startup. So I was trying to connect with veterans, and Asif was just coming back from USA, and he invested in a lot of companies, and he wrote a blog post that he has retired from his job and he is doing something crazy. So I really thought that, okay, so I should contact with this person, and since he's mentoring the local ecosystem, so I reached out to LinkedIn, and then we met, and then like he really helped to make the vision Apploye possible.
That's so interesting. So Asif, you basically decided that you will just start helping young entrepreneurs to bring their vision to life.
Yeah, I'm actually running my business for a long time. Though
okay.
I'm not very old. That doesn't
yeah, I can see you're looking.
For almost 15 years. But overall, like almost like 4 years ago, when my first daughter was born, I decided like I need to take things a little bit slow. So because when you run a business as a like solo entrepreneur or like keep doing things on your own, sometimes it's actually a little bit like hectic to you. So I decided that in 2018, I will actually retire from the day-to-day activity of my business. And I was already actually investing since 2009, and I was in for almost like 7.5 years. So I had fair share of investment from Silicon Valley, all the experience I had. And when I came back in Bangladesh, I literally started to actually talk with the entrepreneur, especially the young startup founders who are building something exciting in tech. And I go to office very early. My office time is actually start from 6 in the AM. So most of the
really?
very early. So it's like some people say like they will actually will not sleep on the day, and they will actually come before actually get onto the bed because
okay.
So I'm not extremely active in LinkedIn, but Shourav is very active in LinkedIn. So he reached out to me at the beginning. I thought like he's actually not in Dhaka. I thought like he lives in China because like all educations and everything was in China. So later on, when we actually kept talking on LinkedIn messages, we find out we actually live in the same neighborhood, just maybe 1 minute apart from each other. So it was very easy for us to actually meet more and talk in more. And I'm actually tech person. So I was a programmer from my university, but I moved more into like architectural thing or like moving more into like investment. But I personally felt like all my companies, all the product we are doing, we need to actually focus more on SaaS. And SaaS is something that I really want to actually focus more, but SaaS is not easy. At the same time, transition from like normal tech, like my experience is mainly in WordPress. I'm actually one of the like original core contributor of WordPress since 2004. So for us, transition was hard. And when I heard about Shourav, what he wants to do, at the beginning, I saw like, this is crazy. Like this guy, he's very young. At the same time, he's trying to do like so many different things. And Apploye is like so exciting, and it's not easy. Apploye is a very difficult tech. Most of the time, people talks about like Apploye, and they're always asking like, why the price is that? Are you able to actually capture those, or do you have like iOS application available right away? But they don't understand. This is not a like simple tech. This is like very core much involved with the operating system. When you're actually taking any screenshot or like tracking your mouse movement, this is like a very different kind of technology, and the kind of like difficulties they have faced with the like Java applications, with the kind of way, with the permissions and other things. So it made the runway of the product is a little bit longer. This is not something you could actually build with like 10 people in 6 months. It takes far longer than that. Then this timeline and other things actually made relation between us even like much stronger, because we could understand like this is not something that we could actually just do by planning. We will have to actually hit the road and the wall when we don't know the solution, because most of us actually never actually solved those before. So like good challenge for both of us, and I'm like extremely happy with the product right now we have. And it was almost like unthinkable that we will be able to actually reach to this point like this soon with this level of stability. So
and that quickly. I mean, you managed to do it like really quick. I was
like many of you or users don't know that like we happen to be in a quarrel between Oracle and Apple actually, because like Apple, we are not supporting Java SDK, so we build everything on Java 8, and they are not allowing it. So we contacted a lot of like again and again to Apple, and they said that you have to change your binary everything, and that like the hardest time of our journey, that our application, like we are thinking that our application will not work in Mac, because these big giants, like they have conflict with each other, but like us, the small guys, we are the sufferer. So
and all right, I was always fascinated how this dynamics between advisor and startup works. So you have Asif, you have a programming background. So how exactly you were helping, or you are still helping Apploye to deliver the product so fast and on such high quality? How does this relationship actually work in practice?
When you think about like investment or advisor, it's not always about actually like financial like backgrounds and other things. For Apploye, the main reason I'm like passionate about this product, because I'm actually very passionate about productivity. Like I personally track my all the like tasks and everything for past 10 years. Like as I told you, like when I decide to retire, actually the main thought actually came from when I was looking at one of the tool I use for since 2009 about how I use my computer, what kind of tools I'm using, what I looked at those data that in 2014, I think that was like 5-year data, and I could see like I'm working almost like 14 hours a day, and doing that, I'm having a child very soon, and that thing actually came into my mind. Like I really need to actually diversify my task and like empower people more, even faster, and that I was able to do that because I was actually measuring my productivity. So this is like something I was doing for so long, and when I actually gone through that path, I have to actually empower people and have like more better management, so they could actually run the company without me. The main way for me to manage those is actually having a proper tool. So I was already trying different tools. I already was using different tools. The idea Shourav came up with, and when he was actually starting to build, I gave a lot of like user feedback, like the way I am using right now and the way I see it will have like much more value. I was always more into like having a really good report, having more control the employer, and it was never about like envisioning or like somebody's privacy. So we don't want to actually stalk our employees, right? Because they are like as the same person like me. I do not consider them as a, like they are like employee. Most of the time I call them like teammate. So we are teammate. I do the same thing. I measure my own work as well. So I was very passionate about this segment of productivity, and the kind of tool Apploye is building right now. Like a lot of people I do see like they try to compare Apploye right away with all the like existing tools that exist for maybe 5 years or 7 years. You need to understand this is a path, right? This is a path for a founder that where he wants to reach and how he wants to actually build the tools. So I'm very excited about this journey. It's not only about like what you have right now. It's all about like what I could do that will actually help my own company, help the other companies that I'm investing, other companies that I'm advising right now. So but we feel like this is a good synergy, and overall we could bring the same gift to other founders, other entrepreneurs as well.
I understand. Like from what I'm hearing, it surely clicked together when you guys met. Yeah, I mean it's a really good fit. So you have a lot of experience investing into companies and so on, and you said that you need to like manage their productivity and see if they are doing good, because I mean if you're putting money somewhere, you just need to know if they're actually delivering on the promise they are making, and that you will eventually make your money back in the future. So you're facing the problem or the challenge that you need to track, quote unquote, and measure if they're actually doing the work they are supposed to be doing. So you are expert in this field. So what would you say that these companies are usually doing wrong in terms of productivity, and what can be done slightly better?
It's not actually right away, right or wrong. It's more about actually giving people proper feedback. Because if you don't know like what's wrong, if you can't actually give like proper feedback to an employee, sometimes they don't know like what to ask. They don't know like why they are actually making mistake. If you talk about like programmers, if we could go a little bit details about programmers. So you see, like I deal with a lot of like very good developers. I have like several of my companies have like very big programming team. Some of them are like shiny programmer. The problem is like they could solve a problem very soon, but sometimes they got stuck with some very little tiny bit of things where they're like stuck for days. They don't know like what to do and how to do. If you can't actually measure what actually getting them stuck, if you can't give feedback, like I could understand for past 2 days, like your activity is actually going down. Could you like share what's happening? I'm not going to look at his like screenshot maybe to say like you are doing this and that. I'm just ask. I'm seeing like your activities like going low. Like, are you reading something, or like are you struggling with something? You could share with me. So those are the kind of feedback I want to give to my team. So it's more about like learning more about those employees and helping them to get past to those phase. And if you could give them some target, like Apploye has a very exciting tool about like assigning tasks. You could assign tasks between team. You could assign tasks like to particular people as well. So in that case, they know like what to do from time to time. I really like having a like a set of rules, or like having a like task list. Then it's easy for you to start your day, right? You know like what to do and when to do. So Apploye really helps about like understanding more about how people are spending their time. At the same time, it will help you to give more like exact input, like how you could improve. Today we have prepared like a presentation, and in there like I will share like how I actually maintain the kind of like team I have and what kind of feedback I give. I will share a little bit of glimpse, like what kind of report we share with the employee, and we will actually explain like how it actually helps our organization.
I surely like what you're saying, because you share the vision with Apploye, which is more about like not catching people doing something wrong, but rather like acquiring these important data for you as a leader and as a manager to do the right decisions and to help them to hit their goals and help them develop their everything they need to do, that needs to be done. And I have a question for Sheikh, and you actually mentioned, Asif, that for all the employees, it's good if they know like their day-to-day activities. If they will open their laptop in the morning and they know exactly what they should be doing. And Sheikh, how are you handling this specific issue in Apploye? Do you create like these daily tasks, or do you have weekly tasks, and then you are measuring if it's everything going according to plan?
Okay, so I shared a bit about this in the last webinar. We have a weekly task list. So at the beginning of each week, so we make this task like they themselves has to write something that in this week they will accomplish these goals. And I measure everything weekly, not daily. So at the end of the week, so I ask this the question that have you done everything that you are supposed to do in this week, and also if you haven't done so, why is the case? Is it your own fault, or is it something that the company could give you support with? So this is our way. We make everything on the weekly basis.
I like it. You were talking about the roadblocks. So if there was actually something from the company that was standing in the way of actually delivering. All right, guys. I think we can slowly jump into the presentation you prepared. So if you have it on your desktop, that'd be great. And guys, if you're watching, you can ask any questions before Asif and Sheikh will prepare the presentation. If you have any questions about productivity, just ask us below in the comments, and we will answer them in the end of the webinar. You have a special chance to ask really two experts in the field about productivity and how to manage your teams. So take advantage of it and ask questions, because you have the opportunity right now. All right. Amazing. I can see your screen.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is a slide that I generally give. So I like this slide. What I want to mention is that at least you have at least 10% of your employee that waste roughly half of their day. So just if you're very confident about your company, just know that you have at least 10% of your employee that are wasting like 50% of their day, so which is very alarming. So this is that why do I mention this? Because sometimes many company owner or founders, they feel that their company is going very well, so there is nothing to improve, or actually like there is no issue here. But this is the statistics from Forbes that on average employees waste like more than 1 hour every day. And so this could be okay with many employees, but the least, like at least 10% of your employee, they waste like 50% of the day, which is really not acceptable. So there could be many reasons for that. They could be like disengaged. They could be like not interested in this job, or they don't have vision for this job. So you really need to solve those problems. And to find those problems, you will need Apploye to understand that which are those 10 employees like that you need to have discussion with.
It makes total sense. So for me, actually, to tweak everything in my management process and in helping the employees to deliver better work, I first need to understand who are the employees who are maybe wasting more time than they should be wasting. I mean, there's a tolerance, of course, like 30 minutes a day, it's okay. But first, I just need to acquire those data, and Apploye is one of the tools which will help me to get these data, so then I can make those important decisions. Is that right?
Yeah, that is the whole point.
Yeah, I would like to add something else. Like this is almost like the bad apple example. So in your team, if you see like there's like five people sitting in the same room, and you see like their activity level, you see like someone has like very drastic low activity level. So in that case, like the way I understand, in your team, like if you have like very passionate team who are like working with a very good deadline, and they're very passionate about what they do. But if in that team you have like one people who are like whose activity level is much lower, that actually like distract other people's works, because if you have like one bad apple in the team, he will actually not only hamper his own time, he will hamper like other people as well. Like maybe he does track more time, maybe he wants to actually go outside more, maybe he's going through like some kind of struggle in his life and he can't
I
actually.
see.
So
That's
those data, right, you could understand like in this particular time he was actually very less active, and you will see the trend like his less activity is going to actually influence other people as well. So that could be much more distracting, and I have seen like this happen in good team as well.
That's so interesting. So if I understand it correctly, let's say that I have a team of 10, and then there's a John who is always asking other, hey, let's jump on the coffee, or hey, let's play ping pong. And John isn't very productive, right? And he's holding the productivity back of all the other employees. So if you fix John, you can drastically improve the productivity of your whole team. It's not only about him, but it's about him influencing other people as well. That's such a good information, Asif and Jay. Yeah, really good.
That's true for almost like each and every team. If you like, if you have the capacity to look at the data, you will always realize that's always true. Not everybody's like productivity level or like the mental state doesn't remain the same. But if somebody is actually like hampering more, then it's very alarming. You need to know, you need to actually solve this.
Okay.
Okay, so this is another statistics which will like blow some managers' mind, that 29% of the workforce, they feel that they are engaged, like only 29%, and then like 45% are not engaged, and 26% are actively not engaged, like actively disengaged. So why people are not engaged in their work? There could be many reasons, but one of the like very important reason is that they might not be happy in their job. So always boils down to this issue that people are not happy in their job. This could be workplace issue. This could be workplace politics. This could be like
His personal life.
Yeah, this is personal life, or this could be this is a job that he really didn't want it, but he had to take it just to like survive or something like that. So yeah, so as a manager, you really need to find those issues as well.
That's interesting. So employee engagement, I find it like really amazing topic, because it uncovers a lot of about your management skills and how you can actually communicate everything inside your company. Because if your employee isn't engaged, I mean, it's on you, because first of all, you hired that employee and you made that management decision, and you maybe didn't guess that this employee will be the right fit. But again, you should know the motivations of the employee and why is he joining the team in the first place. And what I actually like as well is the actively disengaged. Do you want to talk about it as well? Because actively disengaged means that they're just negative people in the environment. Is that right?
Like they really hate this job. So for example, there could be people who wanted to be like engineers, but they had to work in sales, or some people who love sales, but they're working in creative work, design works. So people choose their career on different way, and sometimes it's mistaken. So as a manager, if you understand that for some reason this particular employee is not happy with his job, so you can really talk with him and find that out, that okay, this person might have a different talent which hasn't been discovered yet. But the most important reason is that is not having the right fit actually, like for those employees.
Do you have some specific topic of when active disengagement is happening?
It could happen for various reasons. It's more about like maybe, as he already said, is about like maybe his focus and the job, the work he's involved is not actually matching, or like some kind of like personal issues that he can't actually share and get past to. But if you don't know, you can't even help him. It's not always like you have to catch those people and fire him. It's more about you have to find those people and talk through. Because maybe he just need to actually get some encouragement. He just need to. I do see, especially among like young people, sometimes they got like disappointed very soon without understanding. Like he's not actually dealing something very complex. It's possible to actually overcome, but he doesn't have anybody to talk to. He doesn't have anybody who could actually give some pointers, like how to really solve those and what to do. So it's very important to actually understand and then actually take action.
It makes total sense. And I would like to add one thing. What I heard about active disengagement is when, for example, you have a really good sales rep who is like closing everybody who talks to. And then as a manager, you will say, hey, I will make you a manager and you will be managing salespeople. And right now, the sales rep is good at selling. He's not good at managing people. So you're actually taking his skill, what he loves, and you're taking it from him. And you're saying, hey, you need to do this different thing and you need to manage people. And that's when he stops being happy because he's not doing what he's good at. So I think that's another management issue that managers should know what positions they should assign their employees to. All right.
So I would like to share this like circle with you guys. So like one of the reasons that employees are disengaged because they don't know the purpose of the company. So you asked me this question that why people could be disengaged in the company. A famous writer is also a motivational speaker, Simon. He pointed this circle is that companies, like almost all companies, they know like what they are doing. For example, like a software company knows that what software they're selling or what their business is and where the money is coming from. And very few, like a less number of companies, they actually know how they are doing it, like the process, the know-how and everything. But like very small amount of companies, they actually know why they are doing it. So your organization actually needs to know why they are doing it. So if you are in a agency, your employees should know that why they're working and what is the purpose of their work. So to answer this why, monetary issue is one of the things that the company needs to earn revenue and company needs to earn money. So this is one of the reason always, but you also need to give your employees a vision. For example, you are building a software that helps small companies. So all of your employees need to know that they are actually helping thousands of small companies in the world. Like, so for example, for us, every employee has to know that the purpose of Apploye is to help those struggling entrepreneurs who are finding it very difficult to operate their companies. This gives them a very distinct purpose, which is beyond money, and that should every company do. Yeah.
So it's actually a concept, as you mentioned, from Simon Sinek, and he says that you should start with why. So if you're starting to build something, you should start from the middle. So you should know why you are building it in the first place. So is it actually a story of Apploye? Did you notice that this problem and you said, hey, this will be our why. We know that this is the big reason, and then you build how and what around it?
Actually, our story was that we were struggling with productivity. We had a remote team, so we were finding very difficult to control and manage those remote teams. So that's when we first had this idea. And then I went to like many founders, at least 5 to 6 founders, and I talked with them. Are you really facing this problem? So like almost all of them, they said that they are facing problem with employees. They are facing problem with employee productivity. So everyone, almost everyone said that to me. That was one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to build this product.
Mm-hmm. Asif, do you see this problem like quite often with the companies you engage with, that they don't know their why, they don't know their vision and why they exist?
Yeah, this is like one of the core problem for most of the companies, and I do see this among some of the most amazing founders, because in their mind they have the idea in their mind, they are very clear what they want to build, how they want to build, and what they want to do with it. But the problem is when they communicate with the team, maybe they're not able to actually channel those messages properly. And
Mm-hmm.
if you go to your office, if you go talk to the marketing department, or new intern, or somebody who just actually came in, this message is very important to understand why they are doing something, what kind of change those work will actually bring to other people, and is this work is important, what if this company doesn't exist, is it going to have an influence on people and other people's
Mm-hmm.
lives?
Mm-hmm.
If they get those feelings, then the way I actually try to teach these things to my team or the company I advise is everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean you need to be the owner of the business. If you're just for an example, like an intern in a company, your duty is to actually talk to people, whoever comes into the door, and let him sit to a place, then assign a meeting or something, meeting room. Still, if you own this job, if you understand what kind of difference your this job, or talking to your people, or smiling to your people, or moving him to a different room will actually help your company, then maybe you will own this work. You will not do this because somebody tells you to. Somebody tells you to, or not because it is your assigned job. You will understand what difference your this work will actually bring to the team, and
Mm-hmm.
what the team is actually serving, and how this mission is actually going to help people. So understanding these three, why, how, and what, is extremely important for a team. I'm not saying you need to have PhD level thesis on understanding what is the main purpose of the team.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very simple statement, not very complex. It's very simple. For Apploye, it's very, very, very simple. We want to actually help the founders. We want to help the employees so they could understand how they could improve, how they could use their time productively. If I was not actually tracking my own work, if I was not actually careful about my own productivity, I would never know that I was actually spending 14 hours a day average. And I could also actually see what kind of app, what kind of website I was
I
actually
see.
taking
Uh-huh.
my time. So understanding your purpose and seeing how you reflecting those in your work is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this should be not only on the major and macro level, knowing your why, but it should be on a micro and a single tasks level. Because sometimes when you communicate your tasks inside a team, the people should know why this task is important. So they will finish it, and it's not just another thing they will just finish and they have no idea why they did it. So I mean, communicating it on so many levels, it's important, and repeating it as well. So do you think that communicating of why should begin with the very onboarding process of the new employee? So if you're shaking hands with the new employee, they should already know your why, and if it resonates with them.
Obviously, it's very important. And what I do, if the person I'm onboarding is in my office, in the physically present, or if I'm hiring onboarding someone remotely, I would really like to in the onboarding process, I really like to get involved a little bit. So talk to him a little bit about personal, ask him what he's doing, what foresee what he's going to do with his life, and then try to connect his vision, his main focus. If he's a sports fan, and then maybe I will try to connect that passion to the work culture, and start talking about more on that point, so I could understand you are a big fan of soccer, then I was also a big fan. Then I move on to different things. So I could really connect those dots and go more deeper into my vision, why I'm actually building this product. What is
Mm-hmm.
my vision? my why and how I want to actually do it, then explain him like what his responsibility, how he's a very integral part of my mission, so he could understand his importance. Throughout all the organizations that I'm involved or running, one of the things I always actually try to tell the people is like, your work is very important. It doesn't mean like if you're like junior employee or if you're like C-level employee, your work is very important. If anybody tells you to like, right now I'm very busy with my work and I really can't actually give you time for something else, that should not be a position for me even. Like if you're coming to talk to me about something, if it's about work, is very important because you are part of the mission. So I do more about the founders, how they understand the total business and ecosystem and how they really channel those masses. So like and this is very interesting topic. Like when Sheikh Shourav was actually asking me about like what the topics we could do together, that was actually one of my most favorite topic. That actually channel those masses, and all the people who are actually following or like looking at Apploye, how it could actually help their business, they need to understand Apploye is a tool. How you use it is actually up to you. So having a business practice is very important. That's why we are not actually focusing more on like what Apploye does. It's also about like how as a founder we actually felt about like solving this problem, how we could actually and like go through a like better work culture, right? So it actually helps our business.
Totally. I love this approach. I mean, as you said, Apploye is just a tool, but the foundation, the very foundation, the slide we are looking at, that's what really matters in a long run. And Apploye just helps you to understand if people actually understand this message and understand your positioning and your why. I love it. I love it, guys.
Actually, like regarding this employee engagement, so like we have a cook in our company who cooks food for us. So he doesn't know what Apploye is. Even if I explain to him, he will not understand. But what I says to him, you really need to cook this food very deliciously, and these engineers will enjoy this, and they will have a great mood, and they will be able to work properly. And that's how we are going to build a like big company. So that is when like this cook really felt that this is very important task to him, that to make this food delicious. So this is one thing that communicate to your employees like to the extent that they understand.
Yeah, totally, absolutely, I understand. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so what is efficient management? This topic is very controversial because some people are very hard with their employees, that they think that if their employee works like 10 hours every day, or if they can push their employees to the wall, then they really can bring more revenue. And sometimes it's true. If you really push your employees hard, then sometimes you could be really doing very well, and you can earn like you can make good revenue. But this is not a good approach. Like you are doing it on the expense of your employees' life, so which is not good at all. Then again, there are some managers who are very soft, and they think of their employees' well-being all the time, but they don't care about the work, or they don't like monitor everything. So that is when like the company falls apart, and sometimes you like they don't focus on the revenue part of it. So both is wrong actually, because you shouldn't focus on your revenue only, or then again, the purpose of building a company is that this company has to be self-sufficient, and this company has to make money to survive, and not to disintegrate. And that's why a more balanced approach is very necessary. That you have to be very nice to your employees. You have to be very like you have to be very kind. At the same time, you have to like become very vigilant to, so that your workforce is working hard, and you're also getting the revenues and everything that you need.
So, Asif, do you see this problem or this challenge with the companies you engage with, that the managers or the founders are quote unquote playing the victim, and they're saying that their their employees are not doing the work, so they're talking to their employees and so on, instead of just looking into themselves and into their decisions and actions and understand if they're actually communicating everything properly. Do you see this efficient management problem quite often?
This is like one of the most talked issues I have seen. I talk a lot about like work-life balance, like what's very important to actually work intensively at the same time. You need to take break. You need to have family life. You need to spend time with your friend. You need to spend more time for your health. It- all of those are very important, but at the same time, uh, in China, in Japan, they have what's that rule?
996.
996 rule.
996.
So you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 days a week. So
yeah, actually, Jack Ma advised this, and there is a popular like revolution against it. So if you go to GitHub, the largest repositories is an empty GitHub repositories with this like revolting
996.
against this.
Yeah. So like you see, like this is very controversial. At the same time, I want to bring like work-life balance. At the same phase, I also see like some of the value, like why Jack Ma actually pushes for this 996 rule. Is because when you are working on something, you need to be very focused, right? If you're doing something, you need to finish it. You need to have that focus and passion to finish it properly. But if you do too much, then you will burn out, right? We see this thing among like good developers, good marketers, like they're focusing too much on something and they burn out because they're not taking proper break, they're not taking vacations, they're not taking like family time. So the balance between these two, like how you want to actually spend your time and how you want to actually care for the value of in the business you are producing is very important. So when I decided to retire by the age of 34, I was invited to speak in a lot of like different conferences, and I had to talk to young founders. I had to talk to investors about like what I want to actually retire on the peak of my business, and a lot of those conversations was about like the life of an entrepreneur, the kind of like pressure we are always going through. So you need to have like perfect balance between those two, and if you don't know like what you are doing right now, if you don't know like where you are wasting your time, because I do believe like we are living in a time of digital distractions. Like try to think like if Einstein was actually living in our lifetime in 2019, would he be able to actually focus that much on like special theory of relativity? You get like Facebook messages in every 5 minutes. You get like Slack notifications. So we are living in a time of digital distractions, right? So if we want to focus, we need to understand like why we're spending time, and we need to actually bring those balance. Like if somebody is actually enjoying a lot of cat video in YouTube, he needs to understand that he needs to actually get pass on those. It's not always about your boss telling you like what to do and how to do. It's also about you as a we have those problems. Sometimes we actually can't get past to like what's actually being thrown to us. So those balance is very important. And if you do not have a tool to understand like what's happening, then how you could actually help yourself?
Absolutely. I like the example with Einstein. I mean, I would be messaging him all the time. He was a smart guy. Anyway, for you as a manager, or what would be the number one advice for managers or founders, how to find that balance for their employees, and how to find that, okay, you are resting too much or you're relaxing too much, or on the other hand, you are working too much, you should relax. So what would be the number one advice you would say to managers to actually find this great balance for productivity and well-being?
Like there are like two phases of productivity and this problem. One is like when you are like too relaxed. So in that case, like if maybe you do not have a like very tight deadline right now, or you are actually going through a phase where your startup is well funded, or if you have like good revenues, in that phase, you need to know like when you have to challenge yourself to do that, you need to set those tasks and set those rules properly, so you could know like how you actually have to challenge yourself. And we also go through other phase of life. It's always like comes one and another. So the next phase is like when you're going through a lot of crisis. Maybe you do not have proper money. Maybe you are not able to raise fund right time, or you are going through a crisis where your take is failing. You need to actually hire more people or something. In that phase, if you are like too upset, if you are always actually very intense about the solving problem right now, maybe you will not actually get those breathing space you are always looking at. So having a like proper plan, how you're actually going to resolve those, trying to actually bring those data on board, like what's really possible for you and your team, distribute those. If you do not do that, none of this problem is actually going away. There will not be like a voice you could actually hear from the top who will actually tell you what to do and how to do.
Yes.
So it's important to understand like your own strength and proper plan properly. So, and to do that, you really need to have those data.
So, and Apploye is a tool which helps you to acquire those data. I understand. Yeah.
So the next slide is, I took this slide from a book called 1 Minute Manager. So even if you take like only this slide and only this topic, I think this webinar is sufficed, because this is the most important takeaway you take. Actually, like to be a great manager or a great leader, you don't need to have you don't need to be focused on too many things, because it boils down to how you manage your people and how actually you receive the feedback. So the first is that the 1 minute goal setting. You need to set your goals very properly. Like, what do you expect from your employees? If you want, you can document this clearly and give it to them. Or if you don't, like if you want to discuss, you should definitely have a like big discussion on that, like the goal you are setting and why you are setting this goal. So like one of the biggest reason that many projects fails is because the employees don't understand the end goal of it. And then it comes that 1 minute phrasing. You need to praise your people like indiscriminately, because also you need to praise your people like very like on the topic. Like, for example, you should not, like, if you praise your people in a way that, okay, you're working great, or I really like your working style. So this is something which is broad and vague, but you should praise your people that, hey, the work you did regarding that customer complaint today, that was really great, and you should continue doing that. So you should be very specific in your praising. And Richard Branson says a word that really it stuck with me, that people are like flower. So if you like give them water, give them fertilizer, they will flourish. And if you like always bully them, if you always like misbehave with them,
or ignore them, basically.
Yeah. So also like the flower doesn't bloom in a day. So you also need to be very patient, about the result as well. So praising does that. And also there is a study that what is the most determining factor for creative people to work hard is not money, is praising them. For example, a great designer or a great engineer, so to some extent they will be motivated by money, but not after that. They will be motivated by praise only. Like, you have to acknowledge their passion, you have to acknowledge their creativity. So this is very important, I think.
Sheikh, praising is basically another word for recognizing this entity, right? When I was reading on this topic, I found out that employees not being recognized enough is one of the biggest reasons why they leave and why they're not happy, because they just don't see any impact of their work, or they don't see that anybody sees the impact of their work, which is quite difficult for them then to stay motivated and stay in the job.
if you want to give it a try, just try it today. Like the listener watching, like I'm recommending you that do it now. Like praise one of your employees and see the result like tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
this result is like this is immediate result. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So number 3 is 1 minute reprimand. So if your employee is doing something wrong or if he fails to do something, then what you have to do is you have to communicate your feelings that, hey, I am really frustrated with with what you have done. So you really shouldn't have done that specific thing, and I didn't expect this from you. So you have to communicate this eye to eye, because uh, like you are not communicating this and you are angry with this employee, and you are taking this toll from like in another day, or you are like, so this is not a good solution. You have to communicate that instantly, and then you should forget about it. So this is like this 1 minute repayment. It's not like 50-minute repayment. So
I see.
you have to like you have to talk eye to eye and say that I am really frustrated about this action that you did.
Mm-hmm.
I expect it. Also, you have to make a high ground for that employee. You have to make a case that this person is actually very good, but you didn't expect this from him.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that the person himself, he automatically assigned himself to that position, and he thinks that my this position has decreased only because of my this action. So
Mm-hmm.
I cannot do that like in future.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 3 takeaways: goal setting, praising, and reprimand. So
Mm-hmm.
so you should really focus on these 3 things. If you don't want to if you don't want to be too much engaged with your team, just focus on these 3 things, and I think
It will help.
it will help. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a quick fix, and quick, I mean 3-minute fix. So guys, if you're seeing some drops in productivity in your team, just try to implement this, and try to implement it right now, because it seems very easy and very easy to implement, basically. So yeah, amazing slide. Thanks a lot, Sheikh.
Yeah. Welcome. So this topic will be like overviewed by Asif. So he is expert in this.
So
Okay.
we already have spoken about like productivity, how we want to actually do those things. So in this phase, I will actually share some of the things that I have done. So to do better, you need to actually do evaluation, right? You need to evaluate your employee and like give them report. I will share a little bit about like this is one of example of evaluation sheet that I actually share to my employee in quarter basis. So I had to actually almost like come up with this mechanism when I was actually like scaling one of the company. I was running the team of 17 people, and in almost like in 1.5 year, we had to scale to almost like over 60. So in that phase, what happens like you're not able to actually talk to each and every employee personally, and as a CEO, I do not have the time to evaluate each and every person, because maybe I had a CTO and he's actually managing a big tech team, so he's evaluating each of those person personally. So still, for understanding the productivity and to give them a proper feedback, I created this evaluation process. So this is actually I'm showing the kind of report I was sharing with my team. So it is a two-way process. So employee will also actually give us a feedback as well. So in this evaluation, I will actually give them like a grade point. There is like 20 different marker where I was actually rating them between 0 to 5, and they could also earn like bonus point, like even bonus point 6. And each of those point has like a different performance measurement. So when I was actually sharing them, they will have a score. Like I am showing a report of Mr. X who got employee grade of like 4.45. So our measurement level was like that. If somebody gets like below 3, that means like he is in danger. Like if you are below 4, you are already in danger. If you are like below 3, why you are still in office? So why you are not there? So those are the things like I could come up with those reports because we are actually monitoring employee. We are actually seeing these evolutions, and this is not possible for doing by one single person. You need to have a tool, right, that could actually equip you with a lot of those markers that you could actually use to give an evaluation. And this evaluation will actually help you not only by just actually telling them that you are good or you are not good. Our evaluation also like includes a detailed report, and a lot of like exciting thing happen. Like we have time. I think like I will tell you like another story like that's very exciting. So we had one of the rock star in the team who was with us for a very long time, maybe for a 5 years old company. He was there for 4.5 years. But with time, his salary increased. He was doing very good, but then he was not challenged enough. And when we actually came in on one quarter, all the report came through. Like he got like very bad score, like even below 3. He was extremely shocked because he was like one of the highest paid employee. He was thinking like he's actually helping the team a lot. But when we give them a proper report and we actually explain them like those are the things that you are actually not improving, those are the things like you and your team need to actually work on. And we needed like few meetings, but after a while he actually understood his problem. And he is in such a grand way. In the next evolution he was selected as the one of the best employee, and we had to give him a new award called like the best comeback award because he
Okay.
face. And it was never been possible if we do not evaluate this person and if we do not give like proper feedback. So it's very important to give feedback. It's very important to understand that how somebody is working right now and how you could actually really help. I'll go to the next slide. It's about like the reason of low productivity. So if you look at this slide, you'll see like the core reason of the low productivity is actually insufficient planning and control. So it's not about like controlling like what they do in each and every aspect. It's about like have a proper plan, give them a task list, or give them a like proper freedom when they need to, and then you need to measure like how they're actually working on those through, and how you could actually give them advice. And you need to understand like employee or like your teammate, they are exactly a person like you. So it's not like they want to actually do something else, or they want to actually skip hours or something. It's about like they want to do work, they just probably need like proper guideline. And I do see like those hassle is even more for a like a new startup or like new organization where the founder is not totally properly equipped, or they don't probably have proper education or idea about the management. If you have a tool that could actually give you more idea, and if you follow all those like good business advice, and Shourav already actually shared about like few of the good books that I feel like every founder should read. So then you will know like how to manage, at least to begin with. Then you could actually like look through more like in this slide we also have point about like inappropriately qualified workforce. So maybe you are not using somebody's talent properly. Maybe he wants to draw more picture, or maybe he wants to work more on like design, and you are actually making him more like UX kind of work, but he likes the shiny color. He wants to work more on UI. So you need to understand those. You need to go through those points. You need to talk to those people and like help him solve those. If he works better, then probably your company as a whole will actually work better, right? Because if you want to bring good product, if you want to do good work, you need to have good teammates. You need to have good people. So those are very important, and it also involved like inadequate management. So management need to be adequate enough so they could actually give proper advice and suggestion as well. Not every organization is actually possible to have like separate HR, separate like happiness manager who will actually bring happiness to the whole team. For a 20 people team, you can't actually probably afford those kind of like shiny position, right? So you need that will actually help you to actually go through all of those.
Could you please go back one slide, because I have a question about it. Yes, this. So it's all about getting the data. It's all about acquiring the data to be able to actually evaluate all these different aspects. So what are the ways of acquiring those data? Because Apploye is just one of them, but then there are more like qualitative metrics. So what are these management strategies you can use to actually evaluate your employee and your worker in the best way possible?
At that time, you see, like, that was like a fair enough big team already, like over 50, 60 people. So it has all the departments, the programming department, support department. It also has like marketing and content and management as well. So if you want to actually measure all those people through like a simple grade, you need to actually like normalize those data. You need to actually bring those all in the same board. What we did in the time, we were actually following OKR. This is like a productivity measurement metrics that Google invented and Google actually popularized it. So we are using OKR. OKR is more about like measuring each and every task and giving point for those. And what I was doing right now, so if you think about like a programming team, so programming team, the task is mostly assigned on either like GitHub, or they have issues to solve. They have like bunch of like Asana task or whatever task management tool they're using, and they also have a like time assigned, like how much time they are actually supposed to spend on that problem, and how much they're really spending. So I was actually taking all those data, and in the time I do not have Apploye, I was like using like 4 different tools to actually came up with all those data. I have a like person who will actually bring all those data, come bring all those in a like Excel file. Then we will have like a manager who will actually evaluate and put more points. Then we, as a whole, we will actually find some weight on those data and go through those report. So it was like a lot of work. It's very hard to actually do those report in every quarter. And with Apploye, you could get like a few of those like ready for each and every task. You know the time, and you know like how much those tasks is supposed to weigh. Because in OKR, it's very important to give people like bonus point if they do something like that was not expected from them. If somebody is actually taking more time or like creating more hassle for other team members, you lose some point. So OKR is like one tool that in that time I was using. You could use like different method. There are a lot of like different method that could be applied for different kind of team. That, but you need to get those data, normalize those data, and put those data in a like in a report and
interpret them basically.
Increase those data to your employees so they could understand what's they're doing good and what's they're not doing like properly.
Makes total sense. Thanks a lot.
Suggestions. So those are not like very inclusive suggestions. Today we are actually having like more of the discussion. I do not consider myself as a like expert. It's just like I have a journey. I have been through a journey, and we are always learning and trying to improve. So some of the journey, some of the things that we could suggest is you need to have an appropriate strategy and roadmap. As I said, like that is the most important thing when you are like doing good in the business or when you're going through a crisis. You need to understand your strategy. You need to actually plot those in a roadmap. That's the like the first thing I would advise to any team. Adequate management policy. I do not want to look like a person who are more about papers, who always have like some set rules that you need to follow. Ultimately, you need to have rule. You can't actually go through all those problems on the fly and invent all those solutions. You see, like some of us, when we start a business, we feel like we are doing this for the first time. We are the first people who are like facing those problems. It's not, dude. You are actually not actually going through the problem. All the other founders are solving the same problem all the time. You need to reinvent those wheel again. You just need to have like proper education. You need to actually have those prepared document already and customize those based on your need, right? So like if somebody does not come to office in time that he's instructed to, you don't need to actually talk to those people. You have a policy how you want to actually view those who are actually always late and apply those policy. That's it. You don't need to actually like go back and forth. So having like proper management policy and improve those with time is very important. It will actually eliminate a lot of like micromanagement hassle. So then practice of hyper productivity. We will explain hyper productivity later on, but like you need to practice hyper productivity. I will explain more about hyper productivity.
Okay.
Healthy environment is another very important suggestion. In Silicon Valley, the work culture is like promoted too much that sometimes like people talk about like is it about like work, the kind of problem you solve, or is it all about culture? So
I see.
I would say that like culture is very important. You see, like when a new fresh graduate come to a team or a company, he doesn't understand a lot of the other things goes around the business. What he sees, like how he interact with his teammates, what kind of like relationship he has with his boss, and a healthy work environment is extremely important. That's how he will value the time. If you look at like your normal work day, if you are doing a physical job, you spend most of your time in a day in your office, in your work environment. So if that environment is not actually challenging enough, if that environment does not actually motivates you enough, ultimately you are going to be a like very sad person, or going to be a person who is not end up not happy about work. So having a like healthy work environment is extremely important. It's not about the Silicon Valley is promoting too much about the culture. It's really important in life. And if you can't ensure like good healthy environment in your office, you are not actually going very far.
And I mean, creating a healthy work environment as a remote company, it can be quite challenging task because you don't see all these like reactions, face to face conversations, interactions, and everything. So creating like a culture in a 100% remote company, which is quite a trend in the upcoming years, it can be quite a challenge. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do agree, but you see, like I'm also very much involved with another company named Automatic. Is the company behind WordPress.com, and Automatic right now is a team of almost 1,000 people, and it's 100% remote. There is no office at all. So there is like two different books that two of the automation wrote about their work culture. One is like a year without pants, that talks about like he was working for Automatic, and his teammate could see is only the upper portion of the body. It's not about like what he was wearing.
So you're not wearing pants, right, guys?
yeah, and there was another book about like living a life digitally. So in both of the phase, they talk about like how it's very important. It's even more important to set a culture for a remote team. I do see a lot of like remote team still has a time, a fixed time when they will do a like stand up all together, maybe in a Zoom call or something. They will talk about a little bit about like what they're going to do today. Sometimes to be more bonded with the team, they do some kind of like a not like work meeting, like a completely different type of meeting, only because to get to know more to each other. And I have seen people will actually try to dress up the same when they're even working remote, so they could actually feel more connected. So people do a lot of like different things, and I think it's challenging. It's true for a remote team to bring a culture, but if you do not have a culture, then it will be very easy for people to move on to a different company or to a different thing. So setting a culture is very important, and you don't have to actually follow what other people are doing. You need to actually find the balance among yourself. For me, like I'm a big fan of sports. I like sports. I like cricket. So for me, in my work environment, whatever company I'm advising or whatever company I'm involved, I will actually probably still like talk about sports. I will actually inspire them to have a like healthy life. I will actually talk about like how it's very important to wake up very early in the morning. How it's very important to have a like proper sleep. So like those are the things actually also comes from the company as well. It's not actually something set on a wall what you have to do. So it's also about like the people
I
who are
see.
leading.
Sheikh, how much sleep do you get?
Yeah, 6 hours or 6.5 hours.
That's fine. Okay.
Just adequate size. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, I am not even fast actually, so I don't make sleep deprivation.
Okay.
And the next point is actually communication and networking. I can't actually stress any of those enough. Like all of those tips are very important. Like communication is the key for any successful venture or any successful partnership or anything. And
So,
network, being able to actually connect to people, being able to express what you are doing, what you are going through, and how you actually do better is very important. And enhancement of employee morale, uh, it has to do more about the culture of the company and how you are actually setting those policy and other things. So uh, each and like if you run a company which involves doing something illegal, and if you want to actually be more moral, doesn't make sense, right? Because what you are doing is actually immoral already, and you want to actually that doesn't make sense. So if you want to do something properly, if you want to actually bring more balance to your customer and really have a like really good team, you need to bring those balance everywhere.
Okay, makes sense.
Practice of hyper productivity. Hyper productivity is like very important. Hyper productivity is actually a little bit more involved with the 996 rule, because I'm not saying you have to work 12 hours a day, but I'm saying like if you're working 8 hours or if you're working like 6 hours, you need to be very passionate about those hours. You need to be very involved. You need to be very intense what you do in that hour. As I'm a very vocal about like work-life balance, I do not see like people spending more time. I want to see people being more efficient. I want to see people are more productive. And to hyper productivity is all about like being more efficient. So it is smart management. So you need to have like proper roadmap. You need to have like proper strategy. At the same time, you need to be a smart manager. In 2019, you have tools like Apploye, you have tools like a lot of different project management and productivity tools. And if you're not using it, if you are as Shourav already expressed, like some people think like they're already very active. Their team is already very charged up and they are already doing good.
They're proud of their team actually.
Like you need to be proud of your team, but at the same time, you need to have data to prove you are really spending time, your activity score is really good. You are actually challenging yourself enough. And if you're smart, then you will be able to increase employee efficiency. That's the main goal. It's not about like telling people to work more. It's more about like guiding people to be more efficient. That's the main goal. That's how I want to actually solve the problem. Like as I was, I had the privilege to try to retire on the age of 34. How I was able to do that? By being more efficient. It's not about by working more hour. My main goal is working less hour, not working more hour. It's actually working less hour and be more efficient. Like Shourav will completely disagree with me. I have another like favorite book is about the 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
He like this is not a good advice, but he will still agree. Like Tim Ferriss also comes up with a lot of like tiny bits of hacks, life hacks that will actually help you to do more in less time. But if you are not efficient enough, you are not going to help you or your team.
I mean, Tim Ferriss is an extreme example. He calls himself like a human hamster. He's trying everything on himself, like all these different diets, all these different exercises. He's crazy. I mean, but it's working for him. So I think he's doing something right. But yeah, I agree. Like, goal is not to work like all the time, but to work efficiently.
Work for people actually. The strategy, the strategy of outsourcing and the strategy of delegation, this work very well, but nobody actually build their like So I follow more like Valuetainment, Patrick with David. He has a dedicated video for 4-hour work week, and he said that uh, to build a big enterprise or big something, that you have to actually work constantly on a specific period of time. You don't need to work 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day, but still it's not 4 hours a week. So that's the point.
Okay.
You see, like you need to have a proper like self-feeling, like what you need to actually take from a book, or how much advice you should take from a person. So I'm not saying like anybody could actually really follow Tim Ferriss, but he has like good interesting like life hacks how you could be more efficient. And I do feel like a lot of us do not actually look in this way, like how you could outsource, how you could actually let go some of the small things we are doing that you do not need to actually focus more on what your main core value is. And Shourav himself actually does a lot of those things. He's very good in delegation. He does work delegations, work balance, like management very well. So that book ultimately actually helped him somewhere already, if he likes it or not.
I want to challenge you with the idea. Maybe I think you both know Gary Vaynerchuk, entrepreneur from US, and he's like promoting all the time like hustle, grind. You need to work 18 hours a day, and I don't know, like it's such a vague advice that you need to just work as much as you can to actually achieve your results. I don't know, like it's complete opposite from Tim Ferriss' approach. What do you guys think about it?
There is the thing that you have to balance between these two person. Actually, you shouldn't do all the time hustle, because like if you think about many people who are in the lowest of our society, who are like the laborers, or who are in the manufacturing industry, they work hard. They work like way more than you and me.
Yes.
But they are not in the top of the society only because of leverage. So the right word to use here is leverage, because your time is your leverage. But at the same time, if you're delegating, that's a leverage. If you are if you are making an investment, that's a leverage. So it makes people so when you have a company of 10 or 15 people, you have a big leverage that you can actually employ other people to do something and do something great. So you don't need to work way too much, or without having any smart thinking, or having proper planning. But if you plan thoroughly and deploy people for that task, then it's enough. So it says that don't always work in your business, but work on your business.
On your business. Yeah, I like this advice. And I like what you said as well, that there are people from poor people who are working just all the time, but it's not bringing the results. So they're like another part of the equation, and it's the knowledge. It's the working on the right things. It's working on the things that actually have the impact to change your life and maybe increase your income or something. So it's really not only about the hard work. So yeah, I agree, guys.
The third thing of like practicing hyper productivity is actually build up a strong team communication is very important. So sometimes people feel like the communication is very important when you are actually running a like remote team, or if we're doing something in tech or something. Building a proper team communication is important for in-house team as well. So and communication is not always about like doing things in Slack, or using other tools properly. It's all about having a common ground for each and every people, so they could actually delegate. They could actually like give proper to tips and other things to the team as well, so they could actually learn from each other as well. Increase motivation is also like a very important tip. So if you do not actually challenge people, and if you do not actually motivate something and persuade something that is actually possible to do, and you are the one who could actually do it even better, the persuading someone and motivating someone in a way could actually really lead people to be more productive and like do even more with his time. and introducing new idea and innovation. You can't actually stop innovation. When you actually stop innovating, when you start believing like we're already doing really good, we don't need to actually innovate anymore because this model is actually working for us, you don't know like what's going to happen tomorrow, because in
Exactly.
the World Wide Web, nothing is a straight line. What's working today is not going to work tomorrow. So you need to be always up ahead on the tide, right? So you could actually innovate and you could do much more better and bring more ideas, nurture new ideas. And I'd like to go to the next slide.
Like Tony Robbins says, if you're not moving for a long time, you're dead. And like progress equals happiness. So it's still, there's always scope for improvements. There's always like ways you can innovate. And as you said, once you stop innovating, you're basically start dying.
Yeah, and the practice hyper productivity is the same thing. Like you need to have like good tools that could actually helps you actually do all those things, so you could be more productive. You need to have enhanced communications. You need to be able to share ideas throughout the team and facilitate people who are always have like question in their mind, who wants to actually explore more, who wants to know more, to know like why something is happening, could I do something differently. You need to give those people a ground where they could actually learn more and ask questions. And
Also, I think your employees has to have the right to ask question as well as challenge your decision as well. Like for example,
obviously,
if you have taken a decision that I would like to roll that feature. So if you don't, if your employee cannot ask that why this feature should exist, then actually what happens is that you are a human being, so you could easily make mistake. So if you don't allow your employees to question your ideas, then what will happen is that they will not share those ideas, and you will fall in mistakes.
that's empowerment is very important. You see, most of the people in decision making, when you are actually giving advice, some of your advice is being taken, some of your advice is being ignored or was not proper. People sometimes actually thinks all of those things are personal. You see, what we are actually talking about is all about business. In business, as a employer, as a CEO, if one of my employed people is able to actually give a suggestion that is actually even better than me, ultimately I am the winner because I hired you.
Yes.
Or will give a suggestion which is even better than me. That is actually my success. That will be my main success as a leader. That I was able to empower somebody who is actually giving even better advice or who is even leading some things even better than me. But most of the time, people feel like they are not empowered enough. They are not actually being received well enough. So is having a proper ground where people could actually challenge you as a founder, proper advice, and having a transparency and increase of transparency is very important to create those kind of environment, because empowerment is very important. And if you do not have transparency, empowerment is not going to happen, and you will be always up doing the work that you are always doing, and you do not have anybody to actually support you. And employee retention is obviously very important. I have already shared how I want to actually evaluate people, how I want to actually give advice. And if you are actually nurturing a talent properly, you're going to have good retention, right? Because ultimately, maybe he just do not want to actually just have salary raise. It's also about giving him a good challenge and saying good thanks that you're really doing really good work for this company, and this company is actually very happy to have you on board. So it's very important to bring those balance, and if you practice those, ultimately your team will become more productive. And all about the hyper productivity is all about having those tools and going through this path so you could be more efficient. That's the core goal of all of us. You can't actually, your day will be still in 24 hours. Your life responsibility will always increase. Your as you grow, your family responsibility and other things will always grow. The only way you could actually do more is being more effective and being more efficient.
Makes total sense, Asif.
And I think this is actually the last slide. Tech innovation aids the agile team with numerous device, software, and apps. The digital distraction I was talking about, we have so many things to distract us in right now. And if you do not track it
Technology
properly,
has also given us so many tools to remove the distraction as well.
yeah. So it's not given us just the social media to be distracted. It's also given us a lot of tools like time tracking tools, employee monitoring tools, scheduling and activity level monitoring tools, and also project management. If you do not use those tools, if you ignore those and things like you are a good manager, you hire good people and they will keep doing good work, it's not going to happen. You need to have those tools. You need to actually challenge yourself. You need to challenge your whole team. When you have like application level data, how you are spending your time, ultimately it will actually help your team to do even more. Healthy one in environment, I will not actually go into much details. We already spoken about healthy work environment. So you need to be more careful what you do, how you challenge your team, and have a like proper ground where people could excel what they're loving already, what they want to actually do in their life. So having like good work environment is extremely important, and you could actually enforce those as a team so people could be more productive. They could like my office hour is 7 in the morning for rest of the people. So a lot of people do not want to actually wake up very early. That's the problem of this generation X. So, but still I want to actually force them. If they go through this path for 1 or 2 months, they will understand like what kind of change the office actually brought in their life. Because when you have to wake up early, you have to sleep early. When you have to sleep early, you are actually taking your dinner early. So all those things are very connected. So having a good work environment is very important. And we do not have like enough time today to go into more details, but I would just share like it's very important for having like proper work-life balance and have a like good environment overall. And get into a routine is very important. So overall, that will actually help any team. Uh, Communication and networking is very important for employee to employee, employer to employee, and buyer client or whatever he talks about. But this communication is very important for productivity and overall. So those are actually the presentation. I did not thought the presentation will be like so long. I was expecting it's just 16 slides, so it will not be very long. But this is a topic that is very core for my heart, and I could understand, like you said, you also enjoyed this topic because we spoke about
it was really good. And guys, I can see that you both love this topic, and it's an honor to like talk about this thing with you guys. I really love it. I mean, like the biggest takeaway from this presentation is that the productivity isn't really the problem of the tools you're using, but it's more about the data and more about the management of the company. But to actually make good management decisions, you need to get those data, and tools like Apploye can help you to get those data so you can make good decisions. And what I actually liked about what you were saying, that even the teams that they're thinking they're literally killing it right now, that they are super good and they're on the top of their game, if they don't have the data, they don't see everything. They don't see the scopes for improvement and so on. Have you encountered this particular thing in the companies, that you came into the company and you saw that they're killing it, they're really confident about what they're doing, and then you started getting those data through the stuff like Apploye, and you found out that maybe they're not killing it at all? Have you encountered these situations?
it's not about like they're not killing it at all. Like maybe they're really doing good, but the problem is I'm kind of the person who is always about data, who always wants to actually learn things in proper way, in proper channel, with like proper documentation and data. So what I find out, like sometimes we do not do those evolution maybe monthly. We do those some of those evolution quarterly. So in one, the sales actually increased, so the team was very happy. But when we gone through the evolution, we find out like we really did very well in the first month. The sales was actually picked up because some form of marketing did really work or something. But later on, as we are not actually pushing ourselves enough, we were not actually able to reach some marker that would have been possible if we knew like we could have done those. So having those data, you could actually focus more on what's actually
I see.
bringing more of those like change making things. So having data is very important. It doesn't matter like how successful you are. If you are successful, maybe it's time for you to challenge yourself in something even more like demanding, or I'm always that kind of person who wants to actually get out of his own comfort zone. So if you are not going out of your comfort zone, if
I
you're
can
not
see
like,
that, yeah.
you are not actually going to excel in your life.
Yeah, that's totally true. Guys, thanks a lot. This was amazing. And just really quickly, guys, this app isn't really for like everyone, but if you're managing a team, if you see some maybe scopes, some places where you could increase productivity, or maybe you don't even see these little parts of your company and employees, what they are actually doing. This tool is actually for you, because it will show you the truth. It will show you the data, which will allow you then to make good management decisions. So just check it out, see if it works for you, if it works for your particular use case in your business. And if you just want to know more about your company and about what your employees are doing, I mean, employees is a great way how you can achieve that. So you will become a better manager, and your employees will love you more, and they won't leave. And you will see the results, if it's working for you or not, really fast. I mean, guys, you said that after a month, it's actually possible to see the results, right? Yeah. I mean,
I would say we should compare that in week to week. Yeah.
week to week. So like after the company will implement Apploye, after a week they should actually be able to evaluate the results and if it's making anything, right?
And as a like user of those kind of tools for a long time, I do see like this is not only like a important tool, it's almost like an essential tool for any kind of team I'm managing now. Is because you see like Apploye was built when we already had like some of those tools that exist right now. So those tools was not actually well enough for our solving our own problem. So when we started like drawing a picture, what kind of like solution we want to build, we started from where they are actually are at right now. So Apploye is much more advanced of what other tools are doing right now. So if anybody using like something else, I would advise him like just try Apploye, because 14 days is free. You will understand the difference itself right away. And as you said, like all the people who are like not sure if they needs to monitor the team or something, you see like Apploye also has like monitor or non-monitor version as well. So they could give more freedom, and we are very concerned about privacy. We do not track any of the URL, like over URL, like or some of the things. You have much more control over it. So overall, it's a like an essential tool that will actually help you. And a lot of people could actually probably thank us later after a year. So I would advise people to just try it. Maybe they will understand.
And I mean, what's worth the mention as well, and we didn't mention it in this webinar, like in the last webinars, that employees actually can decide whether they want to be monitored or not. It's not like other companies and other company products that you will open your laptop and you will be monitored right away. So employees will just decide, hey, I'm working these next 2 hours and I want to be monitored. So there's a really big like emphasis on the privacy, as you were mentioning, guys. And that's what I love about this tool. So guys, everybody who's still watching, thanks a lot. This was a really long webinar. Make sure you will check pitchground.com/products/Apploye and just decide whether this tool is for you. And if not, it's totally okay. But if you want to know more about your organization, if you want to know more about your company, more about your employees, what they're doing, so you can make more better management decisions, just give it a try. I think as Asif and Sheikh said, you can thank them after a year of using it.
Yeah.
All right, and one last thing, guys, we're doing this webinar as well tomorrow, and then next week as well. So you can join us. Tomorrow we'll be discussing time tracking and improving productivity in your personal life, and this will be quite interesting because, Asif, you said that you're measuring everything in your life as well, in your personal life, to see what exactly you're doing, what you're spending time with, right? So will you be sharing your tips and tricks tomorrow as well? Yeah. All right, that's perfect. So guys, you can register if you still haven't on apploye.pitchground.com, and we will send you the link, or you can watch everything on Facebook as well. And next week, on 13th and the 14th of August, we will cover last two topics. First will be Apploye use cases, how to manage your field service, call center, and agency with Apploye. And the last topic will be how we built Apploye, learn how to build a tech startup from the perspective of Sheikh as a founder of Apploye. So I think a lot of interesting topics are coming up. Guys, thanks a lot again. This was such an interesting topic. And it was an honor to discuss it with you. Is there anything else you would like to say to people who are still watching?
Okay, so I would like to say that managing people is very important in your company. So if you don't know how to manage people, then actually you will not be able to build a big company. So like you could be a great engineer, you could be a great salesperson, but only thing that will give you leverage is if you can manage people. So I would say that really think about it and study about it and really try. Like if you are a company owner, or if you even have 2 or 3 employees, just find different ways, like how to manage people, like in a more compassionate way in this workforce, and then really you could be able to do great things. So don't be lazy to research this project, research about this topic. So I would really encourage everyone who is a business owner to understand and try to like study more about how to manage people.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And Sheikh, Asif, I believe I will see you tomorrow at the same time as well.
See.
All right. Everybody, thanks for joining, and we will see you tomorrow at the same time as usual on Facebook or on the Zoom. So thanks a lot again, and bye.